We have some Call of Duty Alcatraz benchmarks to go over, some gameplay to review, as well as some graphs to go over. So let's just jump into some of the benchmarks. Here is some of the gameplay. We're going to go over some settings real quick first. We're doing 1080p on low. We're doing 20-second benchmarks. We're doing 2 benchmarks for every graphics card, which we're testing 4 graphics cards. So here are the PC specs, 9900K, and then your 4 graphics cards, all overclocked. The 2060 is 5% overclocked, as well as a factory overclocked card, as well as the 1660 Ti, 1660, and 1060 are all 8% overclocked. So a lot of overclock going on, and let's just jump into some of the performance. So the 1060, we got around 149 to 140 FPS in the first 2 tests. We'll go over the little X's I marked in a second, but about 145 FPS in these quick little battles. So we're at Powerhouse doing a little bit of shooting here and there. We hit somebody, we slay another person, and we're getting around 1949 on the clock, the boost clock, as well as 99% GPU usage and around 35 or so CPU usage percentage. So pretty good numbers overall. And then we jump from the 1060 going to the 1660, which is about 10 FPS or about 8%. So 146 in the first test and then 164 in the next test. We got little timestamps here if you want to watch the gameplay without me talking. So at 0:51 we get the 1660 performance. So we're shooting some people. We're at Powerhouse again. There's quite a bit of levels here to go up and down, and lots of fighting usually going on. So we're getting around 155 FPS. The core clock's 2010, 97-98% GPU usage, around 40 or so on the CPU. Is that right? Yeah, around 40% CPU usage. So pretty good there. And let's jump over from the 1660 up to the 1660 Ti. So over our 2 tests here, one of them we'll talk about specifically. It wasn't a great test, but the trial ended, so we couldn't retest it in time. But we're getting about 176 FPS, so 155 to 176 is about a 14% increase. And then here's your 1% lows in the light blue, 129. So there's that. And here is some of the fighting at 132. So the first test, which shows a 209, which we X'd out, which wasn't a great test. 132. We kind of are just rezzing someone and we made a mistake. So our previous video, we kind of did a comparison of the 2. So we're kind of just scratching this, whether it wasn't really much action going on in this benchmark, which we accidentally recorded. So we'll jump over to the second one, which is the 176, and we'll look at those numbers. So we're over at the ruins instead of the parade grounds, which is a little bit further over, and around, again, 176 FPS, 2025 on the boost clock, 97% GPU usage, 96 a dip there too, and around 40% GPU usage going on here. So, and then next up we get to jump over to the next one is the 2060. So from 176 up to 209 average out of these 2 average tests is about a 19% increase in FPS. And let's check out some of these numbers at 225. Here we go. We're over at Officers Club doing some shootings through some trees, hitting some people's armor. And then I think we go down here after this grenade goes off. But we're getting some good FPS, 1935 on the boost clock. And was it a little bit higher a second ago? Before we went down. 1935, around 96-97% GPU usage, so that's good, and 50 to 55 on the CPU usage. So more graphics, getting higher frame rates is usually getting you some more CPU usage on the 9900K going on there. So some good testing for so good news basically, every card will get you 144 FPS in Call of Duty, the new Alcatraz map that was released in April. So if you want to maybe up some of the settings, maybe you're on a 2060, you can definitely up some of the settings. Yesterday we did in the first part of the testing, we did the 1660 Ti testing, and high settings, everything maxed out. We got around 124 to 146 FPS. So you definitely can up some of these settings and still get around 144 FPS. So you'll get some really fast paced shooting if you're into FPSs and everything going on. So that is good. And with that, there wasn't too much other news. There's the update, the Spectre operations, Rising Spectre operations For PlayStation 4, they get a week early access. I believe that's going on today, and then PC players will get into some of that Call of Duty action. But overall, we'll leave a link to this gameplay video if you just want to check out some of the video, the gameplay with some numbers, and just compare it yourself if you have a graphics card that you're thinking of upgrading or just testing it out with yourself. So pretty cool there. And that's pretty much a quick little episode, part 2 of the graphics tests for Call of Duty, the Alcatraz map. We have Lulu saying awesome and some thumbs up right back at ya. So with that, we will have another episode tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific with some more tech and game news, and we'll be signing out with a little bit of a shorter episode. Pew 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 pew.